with our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring, and we get to catch up with our mogul in training and find out what's going on with life at Rhode Island FC. Stadium being built, draws turning into wins, mogul in training, learning how to mogul. That's how we roll on a Friday. We'll see how long we can catch up with this particular gentleman because there's a special intro that goes with it, and here it is. Cap, what up?
What's up, John? Good morning.
Morning. All right. So the lid is what the lid is. We see it right there. The Rhode Island FC lid. And let's see. So how long do we have you this morning? Do you have a golf game that you have to get to? Are you going to be schooling people on the golf course this morning?
I'm not. I'm all in this morning.
Sweet. Okay. Very cool. All right. So Rhode Island FC update. And once again, as we always sit here and say, right there in the office, right there over the shoulder, it is, yes, clean off the lens. Right there, as always, it is the Rhode Island FC scarf right there, as always. And so we have to have it front and center as a part of our backdrop here at Office HD.
Love it.
The draws or wins. You're fighting for the playoff spot in a wacky Eastern Conference. So what's it like staring at the stretch run for Rhode Island FC from your off-field perspective? How many nails have you been nibbling? Are you down to the nubs? Are you down to your knuckles as the run-in is happening? What's going on?
No, not that nervous yet. It's exciting to be a part of it for sure because, 8 weeks ago, we were not in a very good place. So, it's been fun and it's tight. I think between 4th place and 9th place, I think is 5 points, maybe 6 now or something.
Yep.
But last weekend, if we won versus a loss, we were anywhere from 4th to 9th. And so, it's pretty crazy. And we're playing all the teams right around us right now. Last weekend, who did we have? Geez, we went and played away against Loudon
United. There you go. In the DC suburbs, yes.
Almost unjustly lost that game.
Oh, what happened, sir?
We pretty much dominated the game, and they had a penalty kick called against us in the 92nd minute.
Oh,
devastating loss, but our goalkeeper came up big and saved it because the ball doesn't lie, John.
Ball don't lie.
And so we took that tie, and now we play Birmingham this weekend up at our place. So they're one of the teams that's right in the mix. So it's and then they play in Pittsburgh next weekend, and I hope to drive over and see that because it's only a couple hours away from me.
Mm-hmm. And that was why you signed your keeper as your first large signing, was it not?
That's right.
You had to make sure that your buddy Coque Vegas, he was making sure that he was going to make sure that nothing got behind him when it came to what's going on with Rhode Island FC. So for those that have not been keeping up, and why haven't you? Why in the hell haven't you been keeping up with Rhode Island FC? Because every week, look, we have programming that we do week in review stuff on USL Championship, League One, MLS Next Pro, and so it is a part of the discussion when we go through the standings. But right now, Rhode Island 7-5-13, 13 draws in 25 matches. You're batting almost 500. You're batting 520 with draws because you had so many draws early on. Everybody was sitting there going, it's Draw FC up there in Rhode Island. 34 points, and you've got it's +4 in goal difference right now, and their tiebreakers are different. It's not like wins first and head-to-head. The tiebreakers are a little out there, but you got the tiebreaker right now on Loudoun. You're 7th in the Eastern Conference, and you've only lost once in your last 5. So you're 1-1-3 in your last 5 as you are now north of the playoff bar in the sprint that is now the run-in. And so keep an eye on Rhode Island FC, people, because Michael's going to come after you if you don't. The run-in in general. Right now, we're through Leagues Cup. In Major League Soccer, the other tournaments are behind, and so now it is a run-in for everyone in Major League Soccer. Atlanta United right now is part of the chaos in the Eastern Conference where 7 teams are separated by 2 points. You thought as a mogul you had it tight? The Eastern Conference in Major League Soccer, 7 teams, 2 points to get into the 9 spot. When it comes to the run-in in general, how do you keep your wits about you as a professional trying to focus on the task at hand and not look at all of the noise going on around you with only a certain number of matches left? Right now it's 8, but at the run-in in general, how do you keep your wits about you?
Yeah, it's tough. I think it's easy to say, just focus on your own games and your own performances and take care of your own business and don't worry about what else is going on. And yeah, absolutely, you try and do that. But of course, you're checking the other scores too, right? You want to see how much cushion do you have, where do you need to fight, who's staying in it, who's not. You're checking out the other scores and the highlights every week, so you're aware of it. At least most guys are. But in the end, it is, hey, it doesn't matter if these teams are losing or winning if you're not winning, right? Every now and then you get lucky, like Rhode Island last weekend. We don't win, but fortunately, a bunch of the teams right around us, they don't win either. And so, of course, then, it's nice to see it and recognize that. But, Atlanta's in a spot now where, hey, they kind of control some things, and they're in a decent spot, considering, I think if you pulled the fan base, you'd assume that we were in dead last place.
Yeah.
So, as disappointing as the season's been, the playoffs are right there, and it takes a good run. And I know that, maybe the spirits aren't so high and confidence isn't so high from the fan base right now, but that aside, it's still right there.
And the chaos that's attached to the final 8 matches. Rivalry coming up this weekend as they go up I-85 to go take on Charlotte. And you get to add that dynamic to this whole thing about the rivalry games. And so nothing like focusing on yourself, looking around you at all the chaos that's going on, trying to focus on your job. You've got a rivalry game as your first one of 8 in the run-in. So you're having to sort through all of this information and make sure that you're okay Monday through Friday on the practice pitch to get everything going for the game plan on the weekend. I mean, I'm asking this just because there's a lot of chainsaws that you got to juggle here as a professional athlete when it comes to a run-in. And that's why I wanted to ask about, how do you keep your wits about you and all the focus and all that kind of stuff. And focus on yourself, but knowing that all the noise is out there. How long did it take you as a professional athlete to sit there and go, okay, I can compartmentalize things and only control what I can control?
Yeah, it takes some time. I think that it's normal for younger athletes to, be concerned with a lot of stuff that's out of their control, and what fans think about them, what other players think about them, what's going on in other games, and a lot of this stuff. Right? I remember when I was a young professional, big soccer forums.
Last Tuesday is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Going on there to read stuff every now and then. And, eventually you just get to the understanding of like, hey, I don't know, this could be a 12-year-old kid talking about my performance. Why do I care?
12-year-old running smack on a CompuServe message board.
Yeah. So, I think it takes some time to just focus in on what you can do and what you can control. And it's easier said than done sometimes. It is. We're curious, I think, usually. And sometimes that's okay, as long as it doesn't go overboard.
When it comes to the student athlete and the young athlete of today, are they better at compartmentalizing than we were when we were their age? Are they just different about compartmentalizing? Do they still have the same issues? Do those conversations come up about making sure that they can focus on themselves when it comes to you and Greg mentoring? How does the modern day student athlete look at handling noise?
Yeah, I think it's similar. I mean, there's probably more noise nowadays than there was when I was growing up, just because of social media and everything's on video now. And these guys have game film of their own games and other games and things, which is phenomenal. But it does probably bring more noise. and more ability to hear noise and see noise that we, I guess, for our betterment, we couldn't even hear if we wanted to.
Yeah.
But I think the reaction to it is still the same. You're dealing with teenagers who most of the time we're dealing with teenagers who, that's a tough time as we're growing older. And, you really care about what other people think about you and how you look and how you play. And, you want to fit in and all those things, and all that stuff is still the same. And, some players, just like back in our day, some people handle it better than others. And so, like I said, we just focus on what we can control and trying to get that into their heads of, hey, worrying about this other stuff. It's usually more fearful to worry about it than it actually is, right? The anticipation is worse than the actual event. And, these thoughts are usually worse than what they're actually thinking about you. So, it's a constant though. And it's challenging. I think back to me as a teenager, it's not easy.
So last Tuesday for you, when you were handling criticism, it wasn't easy for you. Is what you're saying. So from one week to the next, you've kind of shaken it off, and everything's cool.
A lot of growth in those 7 days.
There you go. And I wanted to ask about that with the modern day student athlete and what you and Greg are doing, because I don't know how different the conversations are, from the adult to the student athlete these days, because I don't know how differently you have to handle things considering how parents might react. Do you, are you and Greg, let me phrase it this way. How matter of fact are you and Greg when it comes to mentoring your student athletes? Because do they want to hear it flat out that, this is wrong and this needs fixing? How do you handle it diplomatically and still get the message across, or are you more heavy-handed, even-handed? How do you and Greg handle this as your approach when you're talking to the modern-day student athlete?
Yeah, I think for me, try and get a very quick gist of what's going on. How high of a level athlete are we talking about? What's the family dynamic? How involved are the parents? And that stuff usually is pretty apparent pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And so some of the matter of fact will depend on those factors, right? If we're dealing with a not high level athletes, you'd be a little softer in the tone and more confidence building and more hopeful in some of the messaging.
Yeah.
But if we're dealing with an athlete who wants to go to D1, who's, not playing there, we try and talk about, hey, there are other options and there's other pathways. And that doesn't mean you can't make it, because look at Wondolowski and look at Kai Kamara and look at Justin Miram. And, there's all these other pathways. And, so we try and be as forthright as we can be without killing anyone's confidence, because that's the opposite of what we want to do.
And today's the modern day approach when it comes to chasing after that next level, it doesn't have to be a Division I kind of a thing. It can be it can be a Cal State Dominguez Hills if you're a Kai Kamara. It can be a D2, a D3, an NAIA. You can go to a different country and go through the lower divisions there. You can go about things differently than just that pathway that we're locked into of, say, like in American football. Okay, D1 college, you've got to go Power 5, and then you go to the NFL. There are different ways to go about it these days than there were last Tuesday when you were a professional athlete.
For sure. And there's a beauty about that. And it's so much easier now with the way that college is set up as far as transferring. And so there's even more pathways and more options out there where if you can go to D3, D2 and do well for a season or two, it's much easier to move on and go to a D1 school then and get an opportunity there. But like I said, there's still options to go pro, even from a D3 or D2 school.
Mm-hmm. When you're even-handed in your criticism, do you find that your mentees, they welcome that that matter of factness? Do they want to hear? Do they want to hear it like that? Do they accept it and go, or they sit there and go, okay, it's like, man, all right, I didn't realize that. Did they have? How did they handle it? Do they want it laid out for them like that most of the time? Do they want to hear the critics like, man, you got to work on this? Do they want to hear it like that?
Yeah, sometimes yes, and sometimes no. I have one mentee who doesn't want to go to college, wants to play, but he doesn't have any options right now. And I've been trying to tell them that you need to go to college. There's not too many options for 18, 19-year-olds who finished high school that aren't in an MLS Next program. Right. Where are you going to play? What are you going to do outside of League Two in the summer? Maybe there's not a ton of options. So, but they don't want to hear it. And so I can tell them, but now it's on their choice. So sometimes they do want to hear it. Sometimes they don't. I'm going to tell them in the beginning regardless, and then I can go from there depending on the reaction and how they're taking things.
Halftime with Michael Parkhurst here on the Friday Free Kick and our friends at Beyond Goals Mentoring at MF Parkhurst on the 280 character app, at BG Mentoring on the 280 character app, and on Insta and Beyond Goals Mentoring on the web as well. And I mean, when I was 17, 18, 19, 35, 36, 42, 87 years old, there's a certain amount of pigheadedness that we all have because we have faith in our abilities, and it might be too much faith, and you need that wake up call, like in Grosse Pointe and Blank when Minnie Driver slaps John Cusack and kind of snaps him out of it, one of those kind of things. How confident is today's mentee for you? Are they confident? Are they overconfident? Do they need to be reintroduced to reality sometimes? How confident are they when you interact with them initially?
Yeah, there's definitely some players and parents who've got blinders on. I think more often I come across a too confident parent than I do a too confident mentee. And maybe that's because the too confident mentees are not mentees because they don't think they need it. So I don't encounter a ton of them, definitely some. But and we talk about a lot, right? There is a fine line between confidence and arrogance. Yes. And towing it is okay, and dipping your toe into the arrogant side is needed sometimes, right? This is guys, like Joseph Martinez and Clint Dempsey, they towed it, and it's what made them really, really good. So we need to tow it, and you need to have that supreme confidence. And so I'm okay with a lot of it. But, just making sure that we're still good teammates and we're still putting in the work and willing to do the things that are needed to be done. So that is always a conversation, especially with players who already have that confidence or teetering with overconfidence into arrogance.
That to me sounds like a very fine line, because of confidence being one thing, and confidence can be that massive positive that can get you to that line of being overconfident and arrogant. And then if you step over that line and you're arrogant, then you have your teammates wondering about you, and then you've got to figure out, I guess, either through yourself or maybe even through others, where they've got to grab you by the back of the jersey and bring you back over that line. I mean, that sounds like that is one of the most difficult lines, I would think, as an athlete, that you've got to manage, that line of being overconfident and confident and being arrogant and cocky and all of that. That seems like that's got to be the most fine line to navigate, that you have to talk about to mentees and then navigate as a professional.
For sure. And it's okay to cross over that line a little bit more when you're on the field. When you're off the field, right, you want to be you for sure don't want to be over the line, right? Any any little part of over the line has to be on the field, and your abilities on the field, and so confident that you're going to be crushing things. And, if you want to talk a little bit out there and that type of stuff, and that comes across as arrogance, so be it, right? As long as it gets you up and gets you focused and playing your best, okay, right? But off the field, we don't want to cross that line for sure, because yeah, you're right. It does. It affects teammates and their view of you. It affects coaches. And we don't want to be that way in society in general, right? There's too many people like that. And it's not becoming at all.
Because don't you, as that athlete, you've got to be just as equally self-aware, I would think, that I'm crossing over the line. I'm doing it on purpose. I have the wherewithal inside of me to pull myself back and turn it on and turn it off, and turn it on when I need to and turn it off when I'm supposed to. I would think that you've got to be one of the most massively self-aware folks out there as a professional athlete, regardless of who you are. Okay, on the field, I'm this person. And then be self-aware enough, okay, game's over. I'm back in humanity. I've got to be back in and be a normal person. That's got to be huge to have to navigate that yourself.
Yeah, it's challenging, right? Because, as professional athletes, a lot of stuff gets taken care of for you, right? The people serve you and they're there for you, and you've got an agent, you've got people cooking food for you at the stadium, and a lot of stuff's done for you and decisions are made for you, right? And so you have this feeling of like, yeah, I've earned this. This is how it's supposed to be. But then, yeah, when you get away from the training ground and you're just in society, you're no better than, the guy next to you who's a doctor, a nurse, somebody that works in the school, a teacher, anything, a janitor, right? It doesn't matter. Right? We're all human beings. And just because some athletes get paid more than other people doesn't mean that, I'm more important than a teacher, right? It's just that we value different things in society, right or wrong. So yeah, that's a challenge for sure. But it's something that needs, and then the players usually that do better in that regard have longer careers.
Have you had to pull a mentee back over the line in these kinds of situations where that there's something there, that mentee's got something? They have it, asterisk it, quotes it. They've got it. But they cross over the line a bit too much and they don't have the self-awareness to pull themselves back over the line. Have you had to have those conversations with any mentees?
Yeah, we have. And some of it is we still, as a society in soccer anyways, value physical tools early on. And the kid that's 13 who's 6'2" and faster, bigger, and stronger than everybody, that can get away with having a bad touch and doesn't read the game well and doesn't turn well and doesn't do these things well. But shoot, when you get him in space, he can fly by a guy, he can shoot harder than anybody out there, jump faster, jump higher, all these things. And so, yeah, of course they're going to stick out when they're 13. So dealing with some of those players, of helping them understand, hey, what makes you good right now, right? But you still need to develop other things. And similarly, obviously it's a conversation on the other side too, right? Of kids that were like me, like, hey, if you can keep up with those kids and you're smaller, not as fast and stuff, like, hey, you'll be all right in the long run. But yeah, we have had a conversation with a couple of kids who are having success at a young age, but you can tell some of it, or a lot of it, is from their physical tools.
Yeah.
And that doesn't bode well usually for the long run, unless they continue to work on these other things that right now they don't need.
So then let me go to the other side. Have you had a conversation with a mentee to draw them closer to the confidence over, the confidence line, where you can see inside them that I know there's something there. I just need you to come closer to the line of confidence and cockiness. I need to bring you closer to that. It's okay to come here and approach this line. Have you had to draw that out of folks too?
Yeah, more of that. Honestly, with our mentees, of saying, hey, it's not being cocky to have this confidence to say, hey, I'm going to be the best player on the field today. right? That's got to be the belief that you go into the field. Like, did I think that I was better than Miguel? No, but I did tell myself, hey, be the best player on the field today, right? Go show the 40,000 fans like something. Go show them something. Do it. And that type of mentality, and that's not cocky. That's just getting yourself pumped up, giving yourself the confidence of like, hey, this is why you're here. This is why you're on this team. This is why you're in this opportunity, right? You've earned all these things. So definitely helping kids understand like it's okay to have that ultra confidence in something, especially when you're good at it.
How did you hype yourself up on game days? Was it staring in the mirror and doing the Jack Handy bit of, I'm good enough and gosh darn it, people like me? Was it music? How did you get yourself into a game day mode with the confidence I'm sure that was inside to begin with, but how did you give yourself that extra game day boost to get out there and saying, ain't nobody going past me today?
John, my locker was right next to Brad Gazan. That's all I needed. This guy's so hyped up on energy and espresso that all I had to do was look at this guy and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I think I'm ready to go.
He's gonna squash you if you're not, basically.
Yes, exactly. But when I wasn't teammates with Brad, I think it's a combination of things. For me, it was a little bit more challenging, honestly, sometimes to get pumped up for game days because it was like, I just felt like I was confident and I was just ready to go. But sometimes, especially towards the later end of my career, I needed to get myself going a little bit more. So I drank espresso and I was never huge into music, but I'd listen to tunes to just kind of get in a good mood type thing. But otherwise, it was just through warm up, really.
And Brad stuffing you in your locker if you didn't pay attention to his pregame talk, right? I just have this vision now of you sitting next to Brad going 900 miles an hour, hyping everybody up around the room, and you're kind of sitting there and you're going, you're like, you're back. It's like, okay, he's frightening me now. And it's like, I will pay attention. Just don't hurt me. Just don't hurt me in pregame. Everything's fine. It's
not far off, John. That's right. You didn't want to stand too close to Brad because he's like, jumping around and fidgety, and he's so big. You're like, dude, don't hit me. Don't step on my toe right now. Like, just go over there, dude. Take your energy, go over there and relax a little bit.
Yeah, I just have this vision of a polar bear swinging his arms around all over the place, and you having to sit there and go like this. In your locker, you have to lift your legs up so he doesn't step on your toes, and you have to tuck yourself in like this and tuck yourself in your locker. It's like, I get it. We're okay. I'm all right, man. And I'm not far off on that, huh?
You're not at all.
Who else before we get you out of here and headed to a weekend where you're going to be paying attention to RIFC and everything else going on? And Wake had a bit of an early challenge last night in football, but they got past it to kick off the American football season. Who else were some of those teammates that were just crazy locked in and you were like, just don't hurt me, everything's fine? Who else were those crazy locked in teammates on game day?
Leandro.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Shocking, right?
Yes.
Those guys were the loudest for sure, and those guys really DJ'd and took over the music. So they did it through there as well. I'm trying to think of who else was always amped up. Really, myself, Jeff, Darlington, were kind of all the same, more just focused energy rather than outward crazy energy.
Yeah, I just had this vision of Big Red kind of sitting there and looking at everything off to the side going, really? He's like this. He's kind of surveying the room and he's like, seriously? We'll be fine. I just have that vision of Big Red in the locker room. She's just the master of everything. Where Brad is one way, Lorenowitz is on the absolute other end of the spectrum. He's 180 degrees off to the side when it comes to where Brad is, I think, on a game day.
Exactly.
That's my thought. What's the latest with you and Greg and Beyond Goals? What's going on?
We've got our sale going on right now. So honestly, we've got a lot of mentees signing up right now, which is awesome. So yeah, I've been busy the last 2 weeks and getting everybody ready for the upcoming fall season. That's actually not upcoming anymore. It's kind of in full swing for most kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been good and busy right now.
Yep. And Alex Basine says, extolling the Stoic philosophy here. Sounds like Seneca with all of this. You suffer more in anticipation than in actuality.
Well, if I had said those exact words, it would have sounded a lot smarter.
Well, they just say, hey, you put like Seneca in like a frame behind you, where it's like the Monday through Friday is the rough part to get you ready for Saturday. Game day should be the easiest part of everything. Just ask any coach or any player that played for any rough coach. Cap, as always, it's fantastic to see you, especially when you're sporting your RIFC gear as you are chasing the playoffs. It is a matchup against Birmingham. Then, as you mentioned, Birmingham Legion. Then after Birmingham, you wanted to go maybe see Bob Lilly from Pittsburgh yell at Rhode Island FC players and his own players 45 minutes after the match is over. And then a trip to Irvine, California, which I know you're not going to take, September 14th, and then FC Tulsa visits RIFC on September 21st. Get out of here, my friend. Thanks as always. We will catch up with you next time around.
Have a great long weekend, everybody.